Welcome to the big one. Now, President Nana Akufo-Addo says his government has initiated a review of all the power agreements entered into by the previous administration. He said he will prioritize and renegotiate, defer or cancel outright contracts that are not in the interest of the country. Delivering his first State of the Nation's address Tuesday, the president said government has begun to develop a national electricity master plan, which will also explore the benefits of listing VRA and Gridco on the stock exchange.
We began to develop a national electricity master plan, which will also explore the benefits of listing VRA and Gridco on the stock exchange. Mr. Speaker, order. Mr. Speaker, my government will enforce the procurement law. We will insist on open and competitive bidding for power capacity procurement. Order. This will not only reduce the cost of power projects and ensure value for money, but will also address the problem of unplanned procurement. Government will encourage increased private sector investment in utility-scale solar and wind energy projects, as well as accelerate the development of mini-grid solutions in off-grid and island communities for lighting, irrigation, and other economic activities. We will consequently review the Renewable Energy Act to provide further incentives to attract the private sector to invest.
Right, let's get a better understanding of what it takes to list on the stock market and all of that, and whether it's a prudent thing to do. Adam Makpenyo is the head of brokerage at First Bank. Good evening, sir. We're grateful you could join us.
Good evening.
So this listing of VRA and Gridco on the stock exchange, there have been arguments to suggest that the moment VRA and Gridco are listed on the stock exchange, then they become solely private entities and government will have less influence on them. Is that the case? Can you throw some light on the nuances of what it will take to list on the stock exchange? And thereafter, what happens to Gridco and VRA when they get there?
Well, really, once the government takes the steps to get the entities listed, it means that they have virtually become private-owned entities. Government may still retain some shareholding, probably some majority shareholding, but they will remain, or they will become, let me say, private entities, which must operate as such. And I think that what investors will be looking at in investing in those companies is how profitable those entities are going to be, because that is what is going to drive interest in investing in those entities. So that is a key thing that must be considered once that decision is taken to list the companies on the Ghana Stock Exchange. And we have good examples in GCB, which used to be government-owned. Now government still has some stake, but not controlling stake in the bank. We have ADB currently listed, just listed last year. We have Gold that also got listed on the stock exchange. So I think that we have good examples that we can refer to in a situation like this.
And the interesting thing, however, is that the argument has been that if, for example, these public institutions are listed on the stock, it automatically improves or enhances their viability and they become more profitable. Is that what it is? Really, I might say that we all tend to understand that private companies tend to be better run than government-run companies. But there have been sayings that government is in the business of ruling and must not do business. So I think that, truth be told, government is better at running the economy and all those things than running private businesses. And once these things happen, it tends to let the companies operate in a better way. And I give examples of GCB, Goel, and we're expecting that ADB will also be better run once it's not being run by government. And so the thing is that how easy will it be really to list on the stock exchange? Let's get it clear. For example, if government makes a decision that it was going to list the VRA and Gridco on the stock exchange, will it be easy?
I will not say it will be an easy process. One, will have to convert the entities from public entities to private entities. They would have to ensure that the finances that they are coming to the market with are good enough to appeal to the public. One thing that will be considered is once these entities are listed, is government going to allow them to run like private companies? In this case, one challenge we see is that government tends to control utility prices, and this is in the energy sector. So is government going to allow them to operate and charge economic rates and all those things? So those are some of the things that the investors are going to consider. Is it going to be that the companies will be privatized, but government is still going to control tariffs, in which case they may not be seen as profitable entities because government does not tend to pay its bills on time. So those are some of the things that the investors are going to consider. Is it going to be left to run freely in an economic and make economic prices, set economic prices, make economic profits and all those things? If that is going to happen, I think that this will be very welcoming news to the investors who are investing on the stock exchange.
Right. Thanks very much, Mr. Adam Akpenyo, who is with the brokerage, is the head of brokerage at First Bank. So if you just joined us, this is News at 10, and we're discussing the big one, where the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, in his State of the Nation's address, has said that his government has started a review, initiated a review of all the power agreements entered into by the previous government. What this means is that he says that his government will prioritize, negotiate, and if possible, cancel outright if it appears or they find out that contracts entered into by government are not to the interest of God. We're still discussing this, and you heard Adam Akpenyo, who is with First Bank, is head of brokerage. Now, let's quickly get onto the other telephone lines and speak with Ishmael Ejekumhene, who is executive director of KITE Ghana, Kumasi Institute of Technology. Good evening, sir, and thank you. So the president is now assuring that Gridco VRA will be listing on the stock exchange, and this, they say, is the surest way forward to change the fortunes of the energy sector and improve the fortunes and address the challenges. Do you think this will actually be the prudent thing to do?
Well, basically, it's raising capital to run the utility. And if there are people who are ready to buy shares in these utilities, then bottom line, government needs money to recapitalize the utilities, and it's no different from what they're trying to do with ECG, except that
but Mr. Ejekumhene, private recapitalization and government injecting liquidity into the VRA and Gridco are two different things.
Hello?
I'm saying that private capitalization and government injecting liquidity in the form of excess cash into VRA and Gridco are two different things. So I'm not sure how it pans out if government makes the decision that in order to recapitalize VRA and Gridco, they will list them on the stock exchange.
I'm saying that the recapitalization can take different forms.
Okay.
And hitherto, it is government that has been recapitalizing these utilities, including even borrowing for these utilities to invest in infrastructure. So this is a way of saying that we cannot do it any longer. We're inviting the private sector to come in, and we're going to offload shares on the Ghana Stock Exchange. And you think what I'm not too sure is whether you would like to invest in VRA in its current form. So unless the utility is ready, what we call readying for privatization, I'm not too sure I'll invest in VRA. Unless their 1.5 million indebtedness is ring-fenced and it's not part of any transaction that is going to be closed.
Right, Mr. Ishmael Ejekumhene, I'm afraid we have to terminate our conversation.